High Alpha is a venture studio. We start brand new businesses and then we scale them with shared resources and venture capital. And my team's job is to triage the idea funnel, get ideas from corporations, from entrepreneurs, from individuals, our own ideas, and then we decide which ones are really interesting, which are really enduring problems with really large markets attached. We do some research around that problem and ultimately compete the top ideas in Sprint Week. And one of those ideas turns into a new company, and we start that as a software company. I guess innovation is about the creation of something net new. It's often a product, sometimes it's a service, and it definitely has to have value. Somebody has to be willing to pay for it. I think innovators, though, do more than just create that new thing. Their job is to drive adoption and change as well. So all of the organizational change that's required to create that new thing, as well as all of the customer desire that has to be orchestrated to buy that new thing is part of an innovator's job. I think innovation, lives inside of the context of a community. And so you need entrepreneurs, you need great ideas, you need fabulous talent, you need access to capital, you need really awesome companies. Like all of those things have to be present. And so we're one sliver of that community. Inside of High Alpha, we try to create an environment where there is really exciting talent with a great culture where folks can have the freedom to express their ideas. We have capital to be able to help grow and scale those really, really great ideas. And then we have a network. And honestly, that's really the most important part of innovation, is getting a lot of different perspectives from the outside of who knows different things than you do, so that you can grow and scale your ideas and get advice along the way. I started as a mechanical engineer. I really wanted to make things, and somewhere in the middle of school realized that the industrial designers had it right. I'd never even heard of the career, but industrial design designs products with people in mind. Mechanical engineers tend to design with stats in mind, and when you design for a person, you end up with a delightful product. And so I drank the Kool-Aid, I jumped into industrial design and mechanical engineering and mashed those things up. I love navigating ambiguity. That first 20% of a project where you just don't know what's going on, and whether it's taking a sketch and turning it into a product, or whether it's taking a business model and then turning it actually into a business or a partnership, like that gets me really excited. And I realized that a lot of folks around me didn't like that part. Not only didn't they do it, they didn't even like it, and I loved that area. And so I was passionate about this idea of taking all of the design thinking, design for user, and then mashing it up with these big scalable business models that you could get that amazing product into the hands of a ton of awesome users. And High Alpha was forming right around that time. And so that to me was like the perfect intersection of design and business, and then also a industry, technology, where there's just tons of growth and lots of headspace for innovation. So lucky enough to be here doing that now. So on the being innovative part, I'd say to college grads, you just got to try stuff. As a designer, I was taught you just sketch and sketch and sketch. And I got really good at the idea of just throwing away 99% of what I created, because somewhere in there, the one that was really good, I could put forward. But it kind of created a certain degree of dispassion where it was okay to throw those things away to get to something really good. What I never realized, though, is that really good entrepreneurs do that with businesses. As an engineer, I'm waiting for like the perfect business to come along in order to throw myself into. And entrepreneurs are trying this thing, they don't like it, scrap it, move on to the next business, move on to the next business. And they're able, in all of that learning, to really accelerate their learnings, their career, and what they're ultimately able to do in the world. So I would just say dive in and try stuff. It's the best way to learn. You have to go deep at something. For me, at the time, it was mechanical engineering. And at the same time, you have to grow really broad shoulders. You need to be able to be good at other functions around you, just enough to appreciate those so that you can craft them into your trade, your craft. What that also does, though, is it exposes you a really wide area so that you can learn to pivot. Just like a startup pivots, you ought to craft yourself like a startup so that you're constantly able to be open to change and open to learning and innovate yourself to the jobs that you want to. So I think it requires a high degree of self-awareness and constant self-searching to figure out who am I today, what is it that I want to be, and how do I get there. So when I moved to Indiana, the first thing you do is try and reach out and find folks that can help plant you into the community. Centric came along for me right at that very moment. It was really cool to be able to meet a whole group of folks who had like a like mind, a desire for innovation. And what was fascinating was these weren't just engineers. These were business people and marketers and designers, and kind of was a big cross-section of the community, all who had this heart and desire to change the things that they saw around them in the world. So it was great just from a networking perspective to find myself in a like-minded community, and it was really great from a programming perspective as well to be able to learn how different people are innovating in different fields and to actually have some tools and frameworks I could take back to my business as well. I always say that Indiana always shows better than it tells. We've got a marketing problem, and it's not that it's just that we don't talk about it. We don't talk about the great stuff that's going on around here. I mean, it's a vibrant, growing community where really anything is possible. I could be a part of that growth. Like I could actually affect the trajectory of our city, and I was being invited into that by a ton of folks. And so that's like really endearing and cool to me to be able to put my hand to something and be able to change the space around me. Folks want to help you and they want to be in community with you, and I think that's a really, really neat thing about our community. You know, when you look at tech specifically, San Francisco is saturated, as are New York and Boston, and there's a lot of benefits to that saturation, the network effect, and what it takes to be able to raise funding in those spaces. That said, like shouting louder in the din and murmur of San Francisco isn't going to get you noticed. Entrepreneurs, innovators go to places where no one else is or no one else is willing to go and put their hand to something that's really, really hard, and that's how you get noticed. And I think we're doing something really hard here, which is creating an environment where innovation exists, and it's cool to be able to see that change, but also to be able to get recognized in the context of the Midwest for a city that's doing some really cool things. As far as tech goes, I think that's a really important corner of the city that's only going to grow and become bigger. The flywheel's been spun up here, but we're definitely subscale. And the goal over the next several years is to use that momentum that we've got to continue bringing in folks and money and ideas and people to create a real big, durable, meaningful place where you can build and scale companies. Entrepreneurial community requires a lot of different players to be in it. And so we're so lucky to have Techstars and other accelerators coming in like G-Beta, and that's helping to fill the hole that we have in the accelerator space. We've got some great co-working spaces that are coming up, and also some incubators that are flourishing. I think that all of those things are what's necessary to create a vibrant community. And one can only hope we're going to see more capital pour in as well. We've got a great set of angel investors around here. Angel investors, by and large, are usually like old gambling clubs, and here they're really value-added, accretive folks who have been through businesses and know how to coach and develop entrepreneurs in a way that I typically don't see. Where we're limited right now is growth capital, and what's exciting to me is having attended events like TechPoint. They're bringing in VCs from both coasts who are saying Indiana actually is a really great place to invest. And not only do we think that now, we've been investing here for 20 years and we're thinking about opening an office. So it's really cool to see that everybody else is acknowledging what's going on here finally. And I think that's only going to prove even better things here in the future.